Hey boys and girls, here we are at Formula E in Miami, and first off I'd like to thank the folks at Jaguar and Dow for inviting me down to have a look. We're going to be watching a race, we're going to be interviewing a few folks, and I believe we're going to have a pretty good time. So far the lap speeds have been astounding, and apart from one problem with brakes, everybody seems to be on the track and ready to go. So get set for Formula E driving. Thanks so much. Okay, boys and girls, as you can see, we're trackside. The Porsche car just come wheeling in, and I'm sure we're going to have to dance out of the way a little bit. I'm back again with Richard Paz, and we're going to talk a little bit about what's going on right now and how things here at the E-Formula track is working in Miami. First off, thank you so much, Dow, and thank you for Richard for 1440 Sports for bringing us in and putting us all together, and the Jaguar team. So we're in their booth sucking up their alcohol and eating their grub. So anyways, let's give where are we right now? We've just gone through qualifying and whatnot. Where's Jaguar with relationship to everybody else?
Yeah, I think, I guess first of all, Sandy, always great to chat with you. And, probably good to give a little bit of context. I mean, one of the things that's really interesting in Formula E is that it all happens in one day.
Yeah.
Right? So, different than other sporting platforms where you've got, a test day and a separate qualifying day,
yeah,
and then a race day. Everything's happening all today. And so it's putting a lot of pressure on the teams to try to kind of figure out what the track is telling them,
yeah,
how it's behaving, how the car is behaving on the track, and then try to make those adjustments in real time. So so the teams have had free practice 2 first thing this morning. Then they went into qualifying, and it's been an interesting qualifying. I think we saw a lot of really crazy action on track.
All the top guys wound up at the bottom.
So we saw we saw a lot of the kind of, let's say, the typical names, the typical stars, kind of starting later on the grid as a result of their qualifying times than we normally would, and Jaguar's one of those, right? So if you look at Jaguar, world champions last year, starting 13th and 15th respectively on the grid. I understand there's a little bit of some scrutineering that's happening, so there may be some penalties, and maybe they may move up a little bit, but that's where we are at the moment, and we've got a little bit of a gap now until race time.
Well, the one thing that I've noticed, like I was watching, I'm watching the videos and actually we're right at that chicane, and a couple of guys, their brakes had a real issue. So I'm going to talk to Jack a little bit about that, but at the end of the day, I believe that was some sort of software change, and that's one of the big problems with using brakes as far as I'm concerned. I raced a little bit, and I don't think I'd like to have my brakes screwed with about 10 minutes before the track time. So
yeah, that makes us a little bit nervous, I think, certainly in the racing community. But I think it's particularly interesting because in qualifying they're able to use the all-wheel drive. That the Gen Evo, Gen 3 Evo provides. So it's interesting to see them have some of the traction issues. Now, I will tell you that typically the drivers have not been huge fans of the Hankook tires. They tend to be a harder compound. So there may be something in terms of how they're finding that compound aligning with the tarmac here, and potentially whether or not that tire is getting into the window fast enough to allow them with that grip. Could be a brakes issue.
It's morning as well.
Yeah.
I mean, at 2 o'clock, that tarmac's going to be.
Absolutely.
I was going to use an analogy that I shouldn't. So, anyways, it's going to be plenty hot.
It is going to be plenty hot.
And that, I think, is going to make a difference. So, hard tire, if the track is hot, there's nothing wrong with that.
No.
And I don't know if you've seen the ABB demonstration where they basically put a NASCAR,
yes,
an EV NASCAR through the paces. And I mean, I've got a ball of what used to be a tire and shredded in 30 seconds.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, absolutely stunning how quick that happens. So a harder tire on a hot track, I'll take that all day long.
Yeah.
I mean, and maybe that was correct. Maybe the track was cold and tires are hard. Not a winning combination.
No,
Yeah.
but you know, and let's see. I also noticed it sounded like there was a bit of gravel on the track this morning as well.
Marble, yes. And initially when I heard them going over that stuff, I said, I told Grace, that is not a good sound for an EV.
No.
And to me it sounded, later when somebody told me there was marbles on the track, then I kind of figured it out. But I will tell you, that's the sound you hear when you're losing the teeth on those gears that you kind of like were hoping to hang around. Yeah.
100%.
So yeah. So to me, so far it's been pretty exciting, and like I said, the only thing missing is the crowds.
Yeah.
That's kind of an issue, but then we're still like 2-3 hours away from track time.
That's right. I mean, and it's hard to ask fans to come and sit all day, sit through free practice 2, sit through qualifying, then wait, 2 hours. So now I will say what we can't see is that behind this grandstand behind us is a massive fan village.
Yeah.
Well, you got the fan village that's on that side, what we call the E-Village. And so a lot of the fans that will come spend time watching qualifying will then disappear in between sessions to go and spend time eating, drinking,
tailgating,
driving simulators, buying merchandise, all those kind of fun things. So for sure.
So they're tailgating, and hopefully we'll see full stands.
Yep.
Where we are though is much better. I like the idea that we're at that chicane. If there's going to be excitement, that's where it's going to be. I've never seen one quite like that before.
Yeah.
But and a couple of guys missed it. That was. And they, according to what I heard, they blamed it on the brakes not responding quick enough, and they weren't interested in hitting the wall, which is, I mean, there's no fun in that.
No, it's understandable.
No fun at all.
I think one of the things you're already seeing, hopefully, with Formula E, and that we love for our customers and our clients' customers, and obviously you mentioned Dow. Yeah. Dow's got a big group of 65 customers here today.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I think that we always love about Formula E is the ability to be right trackside with the suite, with the seat, and being able to have a conversation even with the action going on. So you're spending time with customers, with friends, with family, whoever it may be, watching the action, totally enjoying that, but able to have that conversation. And and then now you fast forward to where we are, and we've got this whole kind of pit lane walk that's going on, and it's the accessibility that Formula E provides, right?
Yeah.
I think it's so hard a lot of times in a lot of these race championships to give people the up-close action. I mean, people are going right into the race garages, they're learning about the technology, they're really getting a first-hand, like hands-on experience around, what goes on in these cars and what it means for the future.
Yeah, well, here's another thing. I brought earplugs. I am not going to need these unless the bartender starts yelling at me.
Right.
So this is something else that's kind of unique. You can't hear the cars coming. When they go by, they go shoo, and that's about it. So people are telling me, well, it's not exciting because my body doesn't throb. And I'm thinking maybe what we should do is, we're working a lot with the Department of Defense. We can make the bodies throb if they want.
Yeah.
I mean, if that's the only thing holding them back, I know exactly how to make that happen.
Some pulse, pulse guns, or
exactly.
Well, I mean, look, the other thing is that we hear about this noise conversation all the time in Formula E, and candidly, so number one, I like it from a customer engagement perspective that we can bring clients and prospects and partners and sponsors to come and have a conversation. That's one. Two is, there is a noise though. When you put 20 cars doing 350 kilowatts, 170 to 200 miles an hour on the track side by side, it's the air displacement. You can hear the inverters kind of going at it nonstop.
And you know what else you can hear? So you've got your wife and kids over here.
Yes.
You can hear them screaming, "Daddy, get me the hell out of here." You didn't even know that he knew, get me the hell out of here.
No,
but I mean, at the end of the day, if you want to get youngsters involved, I want the kids because guess what? They're going to grow up wanting EV.
Totally.
And one kid told me, we're so disappointed in my dad because he still has an ICE vehicle. This kid couldn't have been 10, 8, 9 years old, tops.
Yeah.
We're so disappointed in my dad, and that's kind of what's going to make EVs happen. So.
Yeah. I mean, listen. What you're also talking about there is, you have such an incredible following and fan base on YouTube. Kids are watching content on YouTube now. They terrestrial TV in the same way, and my kids over here, they've been growing up. I've been part of Formula E for 10 years, and they've literally grown up on this grid in this paddock. So much so that their favorite drivers are people like, Sam Bird and Mitch Evans and Lucas deGrassi, and they don't know the names of the Formula One drivers in the same way that they know the Formula E drivers, even though we still spend a lot of time between both. But they find the EVs so exciting, so electrifying, and undoubtedly they're going to want to drive those.
Wait a minute, was that a pun, electrifying? Oh, never mind.
I may have done that. It wouldn't have been on purpose at all.
Well, I think that, the future belongs to the young.
Yeah.
And Grace, just have a peek or a scan of this.
Yeah.
Look at these guys.
That's
Do we see old timers? No. These kids are interested in seeing what's going on, and there we go.
Yep.
Dream big and shine bright.
Yep.
This is the kind of stuff that I wanna be involved with.
Totally.
I have arguments with old folks. So at the end of the day, what's your expectations or what's your hopes and stuff like that for we're going to be done with this schedule of racing. And 2025 is going to allow you to go to basically a slightly bigger battery, really fast charging, and dropping the brakes in favor of regen. So where do you see that?
Man, I'm really bullish on the future of Formula E, and as I mentioned, I've said a couple times, I love Formula One. We work in Formula One and we do a lot there. But I think the comparison that a lot of people draw between the two is oftentimes unfair. You've got one that's a 75-year-old platform and you got one that's 10. And if you look at where this technology is going, 2027 will mark the start of the Gen 4 era, where we're going to have 600 kilowatt energy cars. Right. These things are going to be rocket ships.
They are.
They're going to be absolute rocket ships. And you start to think about then the notion of moving to regenerative braking, removing the notion of brake disc particles in the air, what that does for city centers and other communities. It's going to be incredible to see the evolution of Formula E over the next 18 months. And the technology is going to be absolutely insane. And it's only going to go from strength to strength.
I'm talking too much, and Grace is going like this, so I guess we're done. Anyways,
always
Richard,
pleasure.
Thank you so much.
Thank you guys.
Yeah.
The 5 red lights come on. It's time for magic in Miami as lights go out and we go racing. Great start from Jake Dennis. Not bad from Norman Nato. Keep an eye out as well for Da Costa on the inside as well as De Vries looking to try and squeeze Robin Fries down to the first corner. But Nato it is that leads. Are they all going to be facing in the right direction as they come through the first corner? Looks like it was a pretty good start for everybody, at least in the front half of the field. The upshot is though, it's Nato that still retains the lead. On the inside there is Da Costa against Jake Dennis coming through into turn 4. Dennis has got the inside line. Da Costa holds the line around the outside and gets himself up through in the Tag Heuer Porsche into second.
Okay, so I'm here with Jack Lambert and Jennifer Kemp, and Jack is with Jaguar, and Jennifer's with Dow. And what we're going to do is talk first off a little bit about the Dow-Jaguar relationship. We've talked about it a little bit already, but Jennifer is going to give us a deep dive. Correct?
Yeah, absolutely. Very good. Thanks so much for the opportunity, and always happy to talk about our collaboration with Jaguar TCS Racing. We started back actually in 2020 and became the material science provider to the racing team in 2021. So a long-standing partnership that we've really enjoyed, done a lot of work with the team. The fit is really great because we both have the same vision and strategy in mind, right?
Yeah.
So we're both interested in sustainability and innovation and really changing the dynamics of the industry. And that's what this sport is all about.
Yeah.
And it really gives us an opportunity to test materials with the Jaguar team and then go from the track to the road. So that's ultimately what we want to do.
And that's excellent. And you know what? We need to know more about you. So could you maybe give us a little background on who you are, what you do, and titles and stuff like that? Yeah.
More than happy. So my name is Jennifer Kempf, and I'm the commercial president for mobility science at Dow. So I lead a team of people inside of Dow that are passionate about automotive and about racing and about technology. We cover everything from silicones to polyurethane-based material, polyethylene material, and acrylics. So it gives us a wide toolbox when we work with our partners like Jaguar to develop materials from.
Well, excellent. And you had a chance to talk a little bit. Unfortunately, we couldn't film because for a lot of reasons. But at the end of the day, Jennifer told us quite a bit about what's going on with Dow, along with the Dow people. So this has been a very informative. I think a couple of times once for sure, stormed the stage to get information.
We love that.
Yes.
We love that moment.
Yeah. Well, that was kind of embarrassing. Makes everybody know I'm interested, but it also makes everyone know that I'm a little bit stupid and rude. But anyway, I appreciate the fact that you didn't hook me and throw me out. But that was good.
Never,
good news.
never.
Yeah. So I've had a good time here. Dow's done a very good job of making me happy. So
Great. We love to hear that.
I'm delighted. Yeah.
We love to hear
So
that.
now we're going to turn it over to Jack a little bit, and he's going to tell us a little bit about the car that's in back of us. We may have to move because he's going to dance around and look at the size of those feet. I mean, he'll crush. You have no chance.
No,
yeah. So
I'll let you guys dance.
Yeah. So I'm going to be moving out of the way as well. So Jack, why don't you tell us first off? We've seen a little bit of the race. Everybody's qualified.
Yep.
Jaguars come in basically in the teens, in the mid-teens.
Yeah, exactly.
And but that really isn't a big bad deal. That might be strategic. Keeping in the back sometimes is good. You get somebody else to, as we used to say, break the wind.
Yeah.
And a different term for the. Yeah. But anyways,
sure.
So can you tell us a little bit about what went on? I know that there was something going on with brakes because when they came into the chicane, they weren't happy. A couple of guys. You want to give us a little bit of detail there?
Yeah, sure. So ultimately, qualifying today is all about tyres. And it's about getting the tyres in the right window. You heard Joel talk earlier on about the new tyre for this year is very high in its performance. So we've had an increase in grip and ultimate capability, but what that comes with is a trade-off in the window that the tyre is happy to operate. So we're all still very much finding our feet, and particularly today we've had a very high temperature. It's a quite a different track for us here because we're used to a street circuit, whereas today we've got a much more traditional circuit layout, very, very wide. Some corners are very fast, but also, as you mentioned, the chicane, that's a really, really big stop to get the car stopped. So we've got quite a lot of inputs going on into the car. So getting the tyre in the window is critical to that qualifying performance. You mentioned it's not the end of the world, and ultimately it's not the end of the world because, again, open circuit today, we're going to have something called a peloton effect happening. Now the peloton effect, as you say, break the wind, that's exactly what we're aiming not to do. So we want to be able to put ourselves in a position where we're going to be energy rich behind those pack of drivers and ultimately rely on our powertrain efficiency to bring us through the order. Peloton racing is very much breaking the wind and getting that sort of efficiency growing out as you move further down the pack. So for us, it's a really, really interesting start position. We want to be further up the order, there's no question about that, but ultimately it'll be an efficiency game today.
Well, at the end of the day, there's something that I was unaware of, and that is the battery. We'll talk a little bit about the car, but the battery is charged up for about 60% of the race, and you're depending on basically braking or charging through braking for the extra 40%.
Exactly.
That's something I was unaware of. I've been to a few of these. No one's ever mentioned that before. Can you elaborate a little bit on that?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's been a big step really from what we had 2 years ago, the Generation 2 car, into the Generation 3 platform. And the major change is that we've now got a powertrain in the front. So this car behind you is now 4-wheel drive. So we have a powertrain here. This is where we engineer. So this is all of our Jaguar IP. Our differentiation happens at this end. But also there's a powertrain that sits under the front of the car. So actually you can see it's a very small volume.
Let me get out of your way so you can point
that
it
powertrain
out.
kit there is also working in regen. So really it's about energy balance and energy budget. So we've got a fixed battery which sits in behind here. That fixed volume of the car defines how big the battery can be. If we want a bigger battery, we need a bigger car, and we don't want to have a bigger car. So how do we make the car go further for a given charge? We need to regen more. So energy in versus energy out of this car is 350 kilowatts peak energy out, and then 600 kilowatts peak energy in. So actually that balance of energy in versus energy out is what gives you that extra 40% of energy recovery through the race to do the distance at the speeds that this car is capable of.
Yeah. You also have the little extra luxury of getting a boost at turn 5, I think.
Yeah, turn 5, exactly. So that's attack mode. Attack mode is a really unique feature for Formula E and a unique feature for electric racing. Inside the circuit, so if you were to walk around that section of the track, you could see there's transponder loops in the circuit. There's 3 of them, and those transponder loops are constantly emitting a signal. The car has 2 receivers on it, so one at the front, one at the rear, and it's the driver's job to drive off the racing line, so ultimately sacrificing time on track, to then press a button in the steering wheel to arm the attack mode, and then he has to place that car over all 3 loops. So all 3 ID loops need to be picked up by those transponders. If that is successful, then the car will deploy attack mode. At that point, you go from a 300 kilowatt rear-wheel drive car to a 350 kilowatt, nearly 500 horsepower, all-wheel drive car. So you'll see today the power of attack mode is really big. Those overtakes that it's able to deliver will be really, really evident out here.
Okay, so these cars are going how fast?
It'll be dependent on the circuit today, but you're talking sort of up to about 150, 160 miles an hour today. I will check those stats and let you know later on.
Okay, in the tunnel they said it was 200.
So the car's capable of 200.
Yeah.
But it's very circuit dependent. It depends how long of a straight we've got to get that VMAX.
Well, at the end of the day, if I had to drive over 3 loops and I was going 150, 160 miles an hour, that's you're looking at basically a second in order to hit those 3.
Yeah, you're right. It's that sacrifice of time is around about a second. Yeah, which is big on a lap time of 1:25.
Yeah, that is a big time. So that's kind of amazing.
Yeah.
So can you give us a little? So we've seen them on the track and whizzing around here, doing the laps to qualify and figure out where the post position is. It was kind of surprising to me that all of the folks that you'd thought were going to be in front didn't work out. And like I said, most of them, they blamed it on the chicane, or they blamed it on the tires, or they blamed it on the brakes.
Yeah.
Do you think it's really that, or is this some kind of a strategic move on their part?
It won't necessarily be a strategic move, but it's all about those elements coming together all at once. So we're talking tires, we're talking brakes, we're talking ultimately the chassis setup to deliver you that lap time, and also we're talking track evolution. So as the temperatures get up and the track gets more rubbered in, it'll get faster. So the groups will see slightly different lap times, and ultimately, like I say, it's really that tight window of getting the car in its most performing position. That's what you're aiming for in quali.
Well, the other thing you were talking about was efficiencies. And can you give us a little detail on where are your efficiencies? Because we talk a lot about that.
Yeah.
It's one of the 5 big points.
Absolutely.
So can you dive into that a bit?
Yeah, so efficiency is really just the ability to use the energy you've got available. So the battery, as I say, sits here, and we're responsible for delivering the energy from the battery to the wheels in the most efficient way possible. There's 3 major points in that process. The first is the inverter, which is switching DC current and voltage to AC current and voltage to drive our motor. Then the motor is your next point of efficiency. How are you changing that electrical power into mechanical power through electrification and magnetism? And then you've got the motor delivering that in terms of lower torque, higher speed to the gearbox, and the gearbox is changing that into lower speed and higher torque at the wheels. All of those points in that process have their own efficiencies, and it's our job as engineers to make sure that every single one of those is in its perfect operating window from when it's designed all the way through to operation to get that efficiency as high as possible. And we're talking 0.1% is what we're aiming for.
Okay, so Jack, thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Sandy.
It was
a real
brilliant.
pleasure. Real pleasure.
Thank you so much for the explanation. Thank you, Jennifer. Oh my gosh.
Thank you. Very
and it's
much
on
appreciate
screen as well. Well, thank you. Again, thanks to Dow.
Yes.
Thanks to the folks here at Jaguar and 1440 Sport, 1440 Sport. So thank you for watching, and stay tuned, there'll be more.
So out of the final corner we go, and across the line it's going to be Pascal Wehrlein who surely will take victory. Who's going to get it first on the road? Natto takes first on the road, Wehrlein in second, Freitz in third, Roland in fourth and Bird in fifth position. De Grassi comes over the line in sixth, with Da Costa down there in seventh place, who really did not pay benefits for him then. So huge drama then here in Miami. Natto over the line in first position, but we are fairly sure in the commentary box that it will be Pascal Wehrlein who will be crowned as the eventual victor, courtesy of the fact that he had no attack mode remaining.